Patreon member shout out. I don't belong here, we gotta move on, dear. Escape from this afterlife, 'cause this time I'm right to move on and on. Far away from here, got nothing against you, and surely I'll miss you. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a Veve Omi update video. You guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. So, today I'm just going to be going over my safest and my riskiest bet on Veve. For those of you that do not know, I do have a relatively high risk tolerance. I did specialize in high risk lending as one of my businesses before I retired and before I really got into Omi. And I am no stranger to putting all of my eggs in one basket. Whether it's Tesla, high-risk lending, Pokemon cards, or one specific Pokemon card. And right now, Omi. Omi, and again, this is just on Veve, but you know, like 90-ish% of my net worth is in Omi. Maybe a little less now that Omi's down and these NFTs are mooning. But that's just a background on how and why I do things. So I'll start with the riskiest investment. And that is, as you know, secret rare Alligator Loki. Or maybe you don't know. And I kind of understand what you're saying. For those of you that don't know, he was in the Loki series on Disney Plus. It was a really good Loki series. A lot of people watched it. I think that was one of the most watched of the Disney Plus shows. And now I'm not going to say that's because of Alligator Loki. It's because it was really good. It really introduced concepts of the multiverse and Kang the Conqueror. You know, the big bad. Probably one of the next big bads of the MCU. He's going to be in Ant-Man and Wasp 3. And well, one of the episodes, or a couple of them, one of them introduced an Alligator Loki. And President Loki said, "What the hell is an alligator doing here?" And everyone's like, "He's a Loki!" And he's got the horns, and it's really cool. It's fun, it's interesting. But, you know, they don't really give Alligator Loki a good send-off. You know, he survives, and maybe he can come back for season 2, but we don't actually know. You know, the producers or Kevin Feige or anyone could be like, "Guys, I gave you the green light to be creative, and I guess you were, but I don't want any of that." Like, how are these real actors supposed to deal with, like, a puppet? Like, it's not really fair to some of the actors. I don't really like it. And they could X him right now. They could be like, they could have a thing where Kid Loki goes to the Young Avengers and be like, "All right, Alligator Loki, here's where we part ways." And then he just, he leaves him somewhere, and, we never see him again. It's very possible that something like that happens. But, again, I think he would be a really good mascot for the Young Avengers. And I think he could go on the Pet Avengers eventually in the future. That one is something I see that, when you have Throg, who we also have on the app. You have Lockjaw, who is from the Inhumans. And then you have Lockheed, which is Kitty Pryde's pet dragon. You have a bunch of other things in there, but they fight Thanos and they win. It's a really cool stories. But if you go on IGN.com on Twitter and you take a look at that and say, hey, they've got 3.4 million followers. That's a pretty decent amount. And you go and you look about a week ago. Sorry. They say, who's your favorite new Loki of 2022? And right next to Sylvie, the main character, is Alligator Loki. And now you've got everyone in there. Kid Loki, President Loki, where he bit the hand off, boastful and classic Loki. But, again, that is right there. And if you YouTube Emergency Awesome, who actually has more subscribers than IGN.com has followers, 4.13 million subscribers, he loves Alligator Loki. Calls him Superior Loki and kind of coined that phrase. And when they ask who's your favorite one, and yeah, sure, only about 71-ish thousand people liked it, and there's maybe only a couple thousand comments, but who's the clear winner? When you go and you scroll down through all of these things, pretty much every single person on here is commenting Loki. Or actually, this one said Sylvie. The Black Fantasy author said Sylvie, but the biggest one, everybody's... It's not even a hard call. This is not a competition. This is like, say, what's your favorite metaverse in 5 years? Vivi's going to pwn all that. So, Again, that's why, is it risky? Yeah, absolutely. None of which I think can happen. It's possible that none of it happens. But I think, at least some of it might. And again, if you go on and you see, oh, hey, look at all the stuff here. We're going to have a bunch of X-Men. We already have a bunch of Spider-Man. We have a bunch of the Marvel Mighties already. But there's only one Loki here. Meaning that we're probably going to have more. And this is the first one. We're going to have more of those. We have Captain. Anyway, let us switch to my safest, least speculative investment. At least the ones that I've spent the most money on. Now, my Secret Rare Spider-Man might currently be safe, but I really only spent $3,200 or $3,300 on it. And now it's $33,000. I'm not selling. But the ones that I spent the most money on, again, the riskiest was Secret Rare Alligator Lokis. I have 12. And that's the other thing. Some people that also have it, there's one person that has a lot more than I do, and they could dump it any time. They won't. They just don't sell. They don't need to. But again, anything's possible. But if we go to Batman Black and White, Season 1, I have the whole first set. This is why this is the least speculative, why I think it's the safest. And most people would say the Todd McFarlane, and they're probably right. But I only spent $442 on the Todd McFarlane. I did not spend that much, and he's currently 58, almost 5,900. He was like 6'2 or 6'3 yesterday. But the one that I've spent the most money on, at least as this, is the Eddie Riso. I got one at like $3,600 or $3,000 or whatever. And then I got the other at $7,200. So I've spent 5 figures on this, which is, it's not an insignificant amount. Chavez, don't you have like 116 million OMI? Yeah, but that's an OMI, and I don't really have that much in my bank account. So to spend something on this for me is a lot. For most people, it's a lot. Now, I know some people sneeze and they don't, whatever. They cough up this much. But in my opinion, why I decided to go heavy on Eddie Riso as opposed to Todd McFarlane is because a lot of people are going to want sets. These sets. And I understand, you need Todd McFarlane. You need that one. Correct. But you also need an Eddie Riso. And at some point, there is going to be I think there already is more than 2,000 millionaires in here. But in case there's not, there's only maybe 1.6 million monthly active users, give or take. But this is January. When we have localization in Asia, there's a show called Crazy Rich Asians for a reason. You think they're just going to want one of those and be satisfied? No, they're going to want multiple sets of the very first one. Because anyone that knows collecting, anyone that knows Pokemon collecting, knows that the first ones are always the most valuable. Why are again, take a look at Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard. There's multiple iterations of those. There's Dark Blastoise, there's Dark Charizard, there's Erica's Venusaur. What is the most coveted one? It's the first one from base set. And you can make the argument that Erica's Venusaur in Gym Challenge, but vintage Sugimori artwork looks amazing. And to me, it does look better than base set. And there's more of base set, but why? Because it's the first. So even though the Todd McFarlane has the first appearance and the Eddie Riso only has the first edition, it's still the first. Everyone's going to want one. And my idea is that if more than 1,650 people come into this app, they cannot all get a first set. Because Dr. Profit has 100 of them. I have 2, and I might sell 1 in the future. I actually made the bet that if the Eddie Riso 5Xs, it was at 14,000. So if it reaches times 5, so if it reaches 70,000 before OMI 5Xs, then I have to sell it and donate it all to charity. But anyway, and I'm not saying that it won't 5X ever. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll 10X at some point. But I just think that OMI will do it first. But why I think it's the safest is because 1,700 millionaires come in and they all want one. They can't get it. They cannot get it. They can't because there's only so many of them. But with the Todd McFarlane's, it's 7,500. The counter argument for Todd being the least speculative, at least the ones that I have, you could say that Walt's pretty not speculative because it's very safe, but I don't have one. But the Todd currently is that at some point there will be an inflection point where maybe somebody that has an extra, $20,000 or $30,000, they want something from the first set. but they can't get it because the reso is that much. At some point, the reso will be 50K. When you have something like the Women of the World NFTs, the one that Logan Paul sold earlier this morning for $762,000. There's like 10,000 of them, and there's next to no utility. Again, it's a good company, and then part of the sales go to charity, and that's great. But when something like that is just a JPEG that doesn't really give you any utility, when you have this that you play with an AR, these are much, much safer. So when the Eddie Rissos are 50K, and somebody, let's say, has 20 or 30K to spend, they want something, are they going to get the set? Or no, they're just going to get the Todd McFarlane. They might get two Todd McFarlanes if they have 50 grand. Do I want one Eddie Risso, or do I want two Todd McFarlanes? They might get the two Todd McFarlanes because it's that first appearance, and you better to have two, because then at some point you could sell one for profit and then keep one. So at some point that will, I don't think it'll ever cross. If it does, great. as good either way, we all win either way. But those are my least speculative investments. Those are the ones that I think are very, very safe. Once we have OMI to NFT, these prices will never stay the same. You'll have some things shoot up really quickly. Like I expect, Joker and Harley Quinn first appearances to shoot up next at some point, because they're both under $1,000. And then you'll see others maybe squeeze a little bit. Maybe they need gems for a new upcoming gem squeeze because they have some new partnerships or whatever. Outside of that, I really don't see these crashing, like 50%. Yeah, they might go down 15, even 20%, but a lot of these are already in diamond hands. So, anyway, guys, that's it for me. Everyone check out Veve Las Vegas, Star Helix, Kyle Willson, Wendy Stibalis, Golden Assets, and Puddin' Cheeks on YouTube, and at Not Star Helix, at Hey David Don, at EQ_crypto on the Twitter. And everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Goodbye. Meow, 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 meow.